Sponsored by McDonald's Black and Positively Golden Change Leaders.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Trials to Triumphs. I'm Ashley Blaine Featherson Jenkins, but you can call me ABFJ. This week, Brazilian ballerina and activist Ingrid Silva talks to me about building resilience and defying gravity. Ingrid's journey from Rio de Janeiro to New York City was full of challenges, from cutthroat competition and the physical demands of dance to navigating a brand new culture while learning to speak English. Nothing came easy. As the obstacles compounded, Ingrid reached a breaking point, but her mother's unwavering confidence kept her going.
How did you know that I would become something? We didn't know. We didn't know. I didn't know. At the hardest moment of my life, here I am wanting to quit. And you, at every cost, still believing that I was gonna be something. How did you know?
Hi, Ingrid.
Hi.
I am so excited to have you on the podcast. I have been a huge fan of yours over the past couple of years. I was going back through our Instagram messages and I messaged you in like June or July of 2021. And I just told you how inspired I was by you. And your response was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. So I already knew that you were, a sister in gratitude like myself. But I was trying to think, I couldn't see what it was that I was saying that I was inspired by. And I think I realized I saw a video of you pregnant, still training and still dancing when you were pregnant with your daughter, Laura. And I just was like, who is this beautiful Black woman who is dancing on her tippy toes, 8 months pregnant? Who is this? Like, I have to know her. I need her to be in my orbit. And since then, we've been connected on Instagram and we've supported one another. And I'm just so grateful to get to know you better, to share more of you with our listeners and dig into your story because I think you're just incredibly beautiful, wonderful, and fascinating. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is so exciting. Like you said, I've been a fan of yours for quite a long time. And I've been admiring your work and seeing how you have been representing all of us. Thank you for inspiring me.
Aw, thank you, Ingrid. Well, let's keep inspiring one another during our chat. Let's do it. All right, before we get into it, let's start with some icebreaker questions. So, what's your favorite thing about New York City?
My favorite thing about New York City, can you imagine, is the people. Crazy enough, is the people. That's the people make New York what New York is.
I love that. Yeah, I always say when I go to New York, it invigorates me. As soon as I touch down, I am automatically just filled with energy and happiness, and I feel like I can do anything. It's like this magical place for me. So I love when I have the opportunity to go to New York for work. I don't live there. I live in LA, but whenever I get to go there for work, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. So I'm with you. I think you know what it is too, Ingrid? I think there's a pace to New York that it can feel overwhelming. But if you really like succumb to it and allow yourself to really like become one with New York City and its people, then it really does propel you. It really does give you an energy that like no other city can. So I am 1000% with you. Okay, Ingrid, so let's start at the beginning. When you think of home, what is one of your like fondest memories of growing up in Rio?
So I've been very, very like, ever since I was a young girl, I've been very energetic, I used to play with my friends. My childhood, I'm so blessed. It was very, very amazing. I've always played outside. I've always had a lot of friends. Used to come home in the afternoon and like, oh mom, I played a lot. It was really amazing. I think I built a relationship in my childhood that really helped me grow and become who I am today, as with sports. And I think that was really able to connect me with everything that I do now. Because I've been always very energetic, been doing many sports since I was little. I think that really, really helped everything. I think one of the my most vivid memories that I have, it's like my first dance performance.
What age?
That was, I think I was like 10.
Oh, okay.
It was so special. And I feel like all the energy, when you're like hype all the time, I was like, wow, now it's time to focus. I need to focus. It was really, really, really exciting for me to see that there was a different space and time in my life where I had to go up on stage, and I've been always, so now we can talk about it. I'm very like, extrovert. I talk to everybody. I'm very social. But when I was very young, I was very shy. Used to be in
Mm.
a corner a lot. I would go in the center of the class to take steps and do a few stuffs here and there. But I was just very, very nervous about everything. And I remember my first dance class was the icebreaker. But my first performance, that's what meant a lot to me, because I chose a career that it's very exposed. We are always
Mhm.
watched by anyone and everyone. And I was like, how am I going to make this happen if I'm always scared of something? And then when I step on
Mm.
the stage, I think everything changed for me from that day on.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's get into that, Ingrid. When you look back, what do you think? Why do you think you were so shy? Like before that,
I mean,
who were you before that dance performance? Right? You were this shy girl, and then something about this
mhm.
dance performance, you had to give yourself at 10 years old, which I'm fascinated by. You were able to give yourself this pep talk at 10 years old, like, okay, you got to get it together. If you want to do this, you can't be as shy. But when you look back over your life, why do you think you were maybe that shy?
I mean, I think there were a lot of things that happened. So honestly, I think I was able to find my blackness and my identity when I moved to New York. And I think
Mm.
that's something really special that I will always cherish, because even though Brazil has a lot of diversity, it's the second place after Africa who has more Black people in the world. I've never felt seen by anyone or part of a space. I was bullied a lot. My hair never fitted, my lips never fitted, my body never fitted. And I think that was part of why I was shy. I wanted to be in the dance space, but not really. You don't really have to see me. I can just be there. And once I joined dance, I found myself more free. When I stepped on stage, I was myself, no matter what anybody thought. And I think that to me at the first beginning, when I was very young, it was like, when you build your identity, you build who you are, you build your actions. It was just so untouchable for me at that moment. And I think that's why I was very shy.
So you experienced, to me what sounds like racism and discrimination and
Yeah.
um and it's really interesting you say that because you're right. I think about Brazil and I think a lot of the people I see that are from Brazil look just like you and me. So, was it where you grew up specifically, or is it just that the darker you are, the curlier your hair, the tighter your curls, that just like everywhere else in the world, you're still not as loved or accepted as people that are lighter or maybe have looser curls, like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think
mm,
it's a combination of both. So ever since I started school, I've danced and I study at places that were majority white. So ballet, for example, is predominantly white. So I was the only one at that point. My brother danced with me, so he was also there. But there were many instances that we would like separate each other and go to different classes. So then he would be the only one and I would be the only one. In school, I could see that there were a little diversity, but not as much. And then, so again, I was the only one. Um, I think colorism also played a huge part of it. But I just think it was more like, when you were young and you experience racism, but you don't know if that's what it's like. And then later on, when you grow, you realize, wow, this is what I went through. And I feel like a lot of us probably now have those realizations. And so I think that's what really happened.
Mm. So you said your first performance that really changed your life was at 10 years old. When did ballet enter your life and how was it presented to you?
Yeah. So I come from a family that's a very simple family. My mom was a maid. She didn't go to school for a long time. She comes from the farms in Brazil, a different state than Rio. And then she came to Rio to find herself a better life. My dad was also in Rio. He was born there in the military. And then finally they fall in love with each other. And then they have me and my brother. Meanwhile, my mom's side of the family didn't have much study as my dad's side of the family, but she wanted a better life for me and my brother. We were very energetic, always been involved with sports. I started swimming when I was 6 months old. I was part of a swimming team. Went to few pre-Olympics in Brazil. Did athleticism when runner. I did a lot of running. I did a lot of gymnastics. I experienced all kinds of gymnastics. I played soccer, basketball, and then at the last moment of my life, when I thought I could never do any more sports or art, a neighbor of ours stopped by one day and mentioned to my mom, "Hey, there is a dance community project opening. Would you like to enroll her?" And my mom never been to a theater in her life. I'm pretty sure she didn't even know what ballet was.
Wow.
Ever. And then she was like, "Well, yeah, I'll take her." So she took me to the ballet class. It's not like in the movies. I didn't have any dance gear or pink skirt and tights and all this stuff. I went barefoot with whatever she had on me. I remember the teacher asking me to point my toes and hold my chest and extend my arms. And she was like, "Wow, you are very talented."
Wow.
And that was the first step. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew I was moved by being there, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And that first day really caught me. I was like, "Oh, Mom, this is so fun. I get to jump and turn." And she's like, "Yeah, you're going to learn that in class." And I think that's how I started.
Wow. I'm just so touched and moved by, the kindness of community. Like that neighbor in many ways changed your life. She could have not taken the time to come next door and mention it to you all. She could have said, "Oh, maybe they'll find out about it on their own." But she took the time. And in my opinion, God sent her to your door and said, "This girl has got to be doing ballet." And also just the strength of a mother who's like, "I don't even really know what this is, but I want my daughter to experience every opportunity she possibly can in this life." And now look, she's at the theater all the time watching her baby girl shine and be one of the best in the world. Like, to me, that's such a story of, like I said, community and a mother's love. And I'm very, very touched by that. I really am. Now, a word from our sponsor. For more than 65 years, McDonald's has been investing in Black leaders who are taking steps today to own tomorrow. Like through their newest program, McDonald's 2023 Black and Positively Golden Change Leaders. This campaign shines a light on 10 young Black leaders who are inspiring and positively impacting change in their communities and beyond. Like Justice for Black Girls founder Breonna Baker, who cultivates student activism and policy work, develops curriculum that combats the misrepresentation of Black girlhood, and provides monetary relief for Black girl activists. And Camilla Bridgewater, co-founder of First Generation Gems, a nonprofit supporting students of color with mentorships and material aid. All year long, McDonald's is supporting their efforts and helping boost their profiles, including granting $20,000 to each change leader. Because when you have the courage to start something, you can change everything. McDonald's also continues to foster the Black community year-round in more ways too. like through awarding scholarships to HBCU students and forming impactful partnerships with organizations like Boys and Girls Club of America. Learn more at mcdchangeleaders.com and follow on Instagram at We Are Golden. Back to our conversation. Tell me when you knew you were good. Like, when did you know, like, okay, I'm pretty good. I'm looking around and these girls are great, but I'm really good.
Oh my gosh. This is amazing for you to ask because honestly, so I come from that place that I was very shy, right? And then so when I look back, confidence for me, it's something that also came when I came to the States. Like New York has definitely built me. I didn't know that I was good. And sometimes, even now, honestly, I doubt myself a lot. I don't think I'm good enough, that I have a lot of things to work on. And I don't know. It's such an interesting place for me. And it's amazing because no one ever have asked me that. I think you are the first person ever. So it makes me think a lot. Yeah. So so after I joined this group, this dance class, I got invited to dance in a place called Teatro Municipal do Rio, which is a big dance school in Brazil. I got to work with Deborah Coker, which is a huge contemporary choreographer. And I got to work with Grupo Corpo, which is also an international Brazilian dance company who dances everywhere. After these two opportunities, I was able to work with Betania Gomez, who was a prima ballerina at Dance Theater of Harlem back in the day. She's the one also who came in the room and looked at me in the corner of the room and said, she's very talented. Let's send her an audition video. So then in 2007, we sent an audition video to Dance Theater of Harlem, and Arthur Mitchell was alive then. And he is the one who took a chance on me. You know, when you see the rock that it needs to be clean to shine?
Yes.
I think I was that rock. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful he took the chance to take the time to see me, to see my talent. And then so in 2008, when I stepped my foot at Dance Theater of Harlem and I opened that door and I saw many people that look like me, that was the moment I realized I was there and I was good. And I worked so hard to be the place that I was, and I deserve it to be there. But there were a lot of moving pieces around, which was English. Like we could never be able to have this conversation before because I didn't speak English.
Yes. Wow, Ingrid.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was my first experience outside of Brazil, was coming straight to New York. And I would come to the dance classes and just be like smiling, like, yeah, no. I couldn't speak at all. I just knew the ballet steps. And then I think the confidence really came in me when I was like, wow, my story is one in a million. I know many people doesn't have this opportunity, but for me to be able to cross the ocean and to be here, this is what I deserve to be. Like it meant to be for me to be here. And then so I think that's kind of the answer for like when you knew you were good, which is something that I'm still working on.
Yeah.
I will get there. I will get there.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved to New York and joined the Dance Theater of Harlem?
I was 18 years old.
So
Yeah,
you had
I was
only really
18.
been studying ballet for 8 years?
10 or so. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And because I've always lived in America and I've always, English has always been a first language, I sometimes forget how we are also a country where so many people migrate to and they move here and English is not their first language, and how tough and alienating that might feel, you know what I mean? And how, you're already dealing with being homesick, I'm sure, and being so far away from home, but also not being able to understand anybody around you. What did that feel like? Like, so you're in the midst of living your dream, but you don't know what anybody's saying around you. And while you're working at continuing to be really great at your craft in ballet, you're also having to work, I'm sure, behind the scenes on just learning English. So what was that season of your life like?
It was crazy. I can
Yeah.
honestly say that. Well, first, I knew this was a great opportunity and definitely would change my life. I knew that. I can tell you that I was really scared, was very uncertain. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it. And I also didn't know what to expect. I had no friends when I moved to New York. I only knew that I was going to the state of Harlem straight from the airport to the school.
Mm,
So I came from like JFK, took all those trains you can imagine. I've never taken them. I
mm.
was guided by people. I would just show them like the paper and I would show them like this is the address I have to go in my own
Yeah.
way. And
Mm.
then they just guided me. I've learned a lot from the moment that I didn't speak English at all to the moment of communication. Like communication is key in every single way in the world. Even if you
Yes.
don't speak the common language, you were able to mimic, you were able to talk, you were able to make your way through. People always ask me how I learned English. I learned via like I went to courses, but it started becoming boring because I was not really learning. I would just repeat words all day for hours. And I was like, I want to talk to people. Like I'm very communicative. So I really wanted to be like in the middle of everybody, talking to everyone. So then my friend Ashley, she was also a dancer at Dance State of Harlem. And that was the first Christmas I spent at her house. She invited me to spend Christmas there with her family in Louisiana. And I
Mm.
didn't speak English at all. And I remember one of her uncles, it was funny what he said. He's like, wow, you don't speak English? But you are black. How you don't speak English? I said, but I'm not from here. And I would just
Mhm.
show him like on Google Translator, but it was so interesting to him that I don't think he also experienced anyone in his life that didn't speak English. You know, I don't think he
Mhm.
experienced. So then for him was also different, but she was like the person who supported me my whole dance career. She was also a prima ballerina at the State of Harlem when I arrived, and she guided me through everything. She gave me my first black Barbie at that Christmas
Oh, what?
because I've never had a black Barbie before.
Ah, Ingrid, it's so funny you're speaking about Ashley. We have the same name. Because literally, you're reading my mind. My next question was going to be, who was your first friend
Yeah, she
once you
was
got
my
to the
first
States?
friend.
Wow, Ashley, what a friend.
Yeah, Ashley Murphy. She dances now at the Washington Ballet, but I'm very,
Mm,
very grateful for her. She was my first American friend. I also had Flavia Garcia, who's also Laura's godmother. She also
mm.
danced in the company. She was Brazilian. And then so I had the both worlds together in that company. And that really, like, that made me survive. And when we
Wow.
talk about a village, and I mean a village, I felt like they were my village at first when I first came. They really guided me through everything I needed to know as a young dancer, joining my first professional company, coming from a
Mhm.
different place. We know how hard it is for when you start. And I think they were the people who really helped me.
Mm. Friendship is everything. Friendship can
Yeah.
save your life, can you imagine? And also I'm just thinking about the intentionality of it all. Like your steps were always ordered. Like, there was no way that God was going to send you to New York and not have people there to support you. And like you said, you had Ashley who was going to take you to Louisiana and give you your first Black Barbie as a Christmas gift, which I'm sure is just it'll always be a special memory to you. And you have Flavia, who is someone from home and you could see yourself in, and you could feel home in her presence. And wow, and you were all prima ballerinas. Like how just amazing. Like that's just wonderful. Tell me
Yeah.
about a time, if you had one, where you thought maybe I can't do this anymore. Like it's just too much for me. It's too overwhelming. I'm not happy. And maybe you haven't had this in your career.
I
But if you
actually
have,
had.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually had. So I felt like, that music that people, it's going to probably sound funny, but it's a reality. When you're like, all my life I had to fight.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I feel like it resonates with my life story because I've come from a place that everybody was very simple. If I didn't have that dance school who was going to support me, I maybe wouldn't be able to become a dancer. First of all, because this art form is very expensive. So then I sure knew that my mom and my dad wouldn't be able to buy me a pair of ponchos. Shoes. Either we
Mm-hmm.
were able to eat or I would be able to dance. And I'm glad that I had this dance school at first who really supported me and who really paid for my ticket to come to America, because that was a huge step too, and supported me while I was here. And so when I arrived here, I felt very defeated. One, because of the language, one, because of the culture, and because friends and family has been always part of my root. Like I've been always surrounded by family, and I know how much does that mean to me. And not having that support for me, it was incredibly hard moving to a new place and living those experiences. So um, there were moments in my head when I was young, and I think back now and I see when you are a young person, you always want things to happen so quickly. You don't know how much time it takes. You don't know how much hard work you have to do it so you can build your life. How much effort it takes. Like everything that you guys see on Instagram now, it's instant for some people, but that's not how life is. You have to really work hard and make things happen from scratch, because that's how it takes a journey for someone to become really successful. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that to me at that age was really hard. Now I appreciate it more because I understood the journey I went through. And then so I know what it takes, your work, and what your work really means when you do it.
Mm.
And then there were moments that I was like in the back, even learning choreography or doing something. And I was like, they're not looking at me, or like, I'm not good enough, or what do I have to do? New York is very cutthroat. And I remember a phrase that my mom would always say, you can be good, but you have to be amazing in order
Mm.
to be different. She used to say,
Mm.
everybody's good and anyone can be good, but you need to be amazing to get somewhere or somewhere you want to be. And then
Mm-hmm.
so that's how, for me, I started learning about resilience. It doesn't matter what I think. Maybe I wasn't ready then. Maybe I was just good. I wasn't amazing. And then that's what maybe they didn't see me, or I needed to be more seasoned, or maybe I needed to work on something important, or maybe I needed to perfect my craft in order to feel good enough. And in those moments when I felt defeated, I was like, wow, maybe I'm not good for this. Like I don't have the opportunity. And once I learned how resilience works, I
Mm.
started to building a thick skin and learning that maybe it wasn't just about me, Ingrid. It was about a whole thing that built my path. So when the time came, I
Mm.
was ready, you know?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I really needed to hear that, especially in this season of my life. Everybody deals with this, but especially when you're an artist, 99% of our careers are we are dealing with rejection, and we're dealing
Mm-hmm.
with no, and we're dealing with maybe next time. That we're hearing that all the time. We're hearing work on this, learn that, perfect this, lose that. Like that's just what we're hearing all the time. And so it's really nice for me to hear that you're saying, like, I had to stop taking it personally. And maybe I was just good. I had to work at being amazing. And I think more so than even it building thick skin, it strengthens your spirit. It, like you said, it adds to your resiliency. Who was one of the first people um, other outside of the dance class, the first dance class you took that you think back, even maybe earlier in your life, that you really felt like believed in you?
My mom, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like she has been my rock since day one. And it probably sounds very cliche because, people are like, well, but your mom, of course. But when you talk about arts, not every mother is going to support you because, a lot of people want you to be a doctor, a teacher, a journalist, like anything else than just dance. People doesn't even think that dance is a real career, only if they knew what it took to defy gravity, to
Mm.
defy gravity and to be able to perform on the stage in front of 2,000 people. It's a huge deal. Like it's not for everyone. And I think my mom has been one of this person that were like, whatever you want to do in life, I'm going to be there for you. And then I think that belief was a huge step. And I remember being here my first year crying a lot. And I was like, Mom, I want to go back. And she was like, there is nothing for you here. You have to be there. I'm going to be there with you in the spirit. And I need you to be strong. I think that to
Mm.
me was one of the hardest moment. And it's sometimes I get very emotional because I'm like,
Yeah.
how did you know that I
Mm.
would become something?
Oof.
We didn't know. We didn't know. I didn't know. At the hardest moment of my life, here I am wanting to quit. And you, at every cost, still believing that I was going to be something. How did
Mm.
you know? I always ask that to her. But deep inside of her, she always knew.
I think there's something so beautiful about, I think that she always knew, but I also just think there's so much power in words. Like just the fact that she continued to say it, like that as a force is very powerful. Just you hearing the person who gave you life saying, you're going to be somebody. You can do this. You are special, my child. I always want to give my parents, um, such love and appreciation and gratitude for just the words that they spoke into me and just not giving up on me. Because had my parents given up on me, we 1000%. If our parents gave up
Mhm.
on us, we would not be sitting here having this conversation today.
No,
Doesn't matter
definitely
how much
not.
talent we had, doesn't matter how motivated we were. And I think for so many people, unfortunately, that's the difference. That's what changes them being able to leap and defy gravity and go for their dreams, because the people that they trust the most and love the most aren't able to give that back to them. And we know that it's based in fear, right? It's just that they're
Yeah.
scared. My dad has always been so supportive, but he also has been very scared. He just didn't want his baby to get hurt, to be broke, to be on the street, whatever it is. And I get that. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I get it. I'm his baby. He
Yeah.
just was so,
They want some happiness for us that it's not going to hurt us. And how do
yeah.
we approach that?
It's a father's protection. I've told the story before, but like my dad at one point was like, why don't you become an accountant? And I was like, Dad, I'm not
No.
even good at math. How would I become an accountant? But I think to him, he was like, you wouldn't have to deal with rejection. You could just have your own clients. You're working with some sort of computer program every day, but it wouldn't make me happy. So, anyway,
Yeah.
I'm happy that we wiped the tears and said, no, Dad, we can do it. So, being an artist, especially, and entering into motherhood is scary because you feel like, and I hate that I'm even going to say what I'm about to say, but you feel like, will I work again?
Mm-hmm.
Can I work pregnant? Will I still have opportunities pregnant? How much will I change after, I give birth? What will that mean for my career? And so I want you to talk to me about the moment you realized you were pregnant, and the thoughts that were going through your mind, especially as it pertained to, to your life, but to your career and your livelihood. And what before we get into once Laura was born, I want you to talk to me about what motherhood taught you or pregnancy taught you.
Well, so first of all, I got pregnant in the middle of the pandemic. I mean, I found myself pregnant in the middle of the pandemic, in the place that everybody was dying. And I was like, why am I getting pregnant? Like, why am I pregnant now? I questioned that a lot. And I was very, very scared. And the first thought that came to my mind was exactly what you said. What's going to happen now? Like, what is going to be my life now? Am I going to be able to work? Am I going to be able to dance and keeping pursuing my dreams? Am I going to be able to fulfill everything that I've worked so hard and plan from now on? Because this is what media and people and sometimes friends sell to you. When you get pregnant or when you have a child, people say your life is going to end. And you know what? That's so wrong. And I'm going to just say that because this is not what happens. To me personally, my life just started. I found myself in so many different ways that I've never thought I could. So pregnancy for me was a shock at first. And it was so funny because me and my husband was like, okay, so now what's going to happen? What are we going to do? And then he goes, well, everything happens for a reason. We went to do the blood test scared and we came back like, we're going to be great parents. Everything's going to be fine. She's going to be amazing. And the world is an oyster. Like it was such a hype moment. And then from that moment on, I was like, you know what? I am going to make a plan. So in my plan and what I've planned for myself was I am going to dance my whole pregnancy. Because if this is going to be the last time of my life I'm dancing, I am going to dance. And then so Betania Gomez moved to the States in 2010 or so. And she became a teacher at Dance City of Harlem School. And she was the person who first discovered me back when I was sharing my story. She was there with me my whole pregnancy. One, because she's a dancer, and one, because she also became my coach. So we work together all the time when I'm doing ballets or when I have a role to do. She's always coaching me. And she designed ballet for mothers or while you were pregnant. So she created the method for ballet while I was pregnant. So she designed the classes specifically for each month that I was pregnant. And I danced until 39 weeks. I did point as well. Crazy me. It was super fun. Do not do that if you are not a dancer, if you don't feel that you should. Do it if your body permits you. This is very important. Each person is different and you don't have to be like everyone else. You are you. And then so she designed the classes for me. I took the classes. I felt very connected to myself. I really love being in my environment. And I took the time to be there to build Laura inside of me. I felt like I brought her into my journey. You know, when you are a mom and you're like, oh, now your life changed. You're going to have to do everything your kid needs. And to me, has always been the opposite. I'm including you in my life. So this is how things works in my journey. Yes. And how that's going to work for you as well. I had a huge and beautiful opportunity when I had Laura to come back to work, to do the blessing, which is dance, and makes me who I am and makes me happy. I got to take her all over the world with me. So she's been traveling with me since day one. And she has been teaching me so much when we go on tour. She doesn't go anymore because now she's going to turn 3. And I'm preparing myself and my heart for that 3K that's coming in September. Which I think it's going to be a new world for me. But she has teaching me much about love and how I see my relationship to other friends and how I see them now as not just a friend, but how I see them as a mother. now I know how this person behaves this way. Now I see how this person speaks this way, and then how the world treat us. Like, I have a much broader view as a mom and as a person than I had it before.
Mm. Ingrid, what has been your takeaway from our conversation today?
Well, our takeaway has been, I think village, it's something really important that we have to cherish. I'm very, very grateful for my family. I'm very grateful for Laura. I'm very grateful for my friends. My real friends and my small circle of friends, because I think the older I get, it gets smaller and smaller.
Yep, it does.
And it's completely fine. It's completely fine because that's what I needed. And I think love and comprehension, like when you hear people's stories or when you resonate with people's stories, there is so much for you to take from you. And one thing that I always take from dance is when you step on that stage, either the real stage with full lights or the stage of life, there is nothing to prove, only to share. And your journey is unique as you on earth because there is no one else that's like you. So then you just have to live your truth the way your instincts guide you and you want to be. Just be yourself and enjoy the journey.
Yeah. My takeaway is one, you're just magnificent and you are just such a special woman. And I'm so grateful to know you and to have you in my orbit. But it's also that, you talked about defying gravity, which is one of my favorite songs from the musical Wicked. But it made me think like, I can, and I have defied gravity and I will continue to defy gravity. I just have to believe that I can. And I have to continue to surround myself with people that see me doing it before I even get up in the air. Like that is so important. And just hearing you say that is something that'll probably always stick with me. So I just really appreciate you, Ingrid. I love you. I honor you. And I thank you so much for this conversation. And I just can't wait to hug you in real life.
Thank you so much for opening your space, giving me the opportunity. I think there is a moment that I will share forever. I'm such a fan of you. And I confess, I was very, very nervous. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to see you. And then just having this conversation, I think it really, really, really made my day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sis. Thank you for listening. This podcast is produced by LWC Studios for OWN. The show's executive producer is Juleka Lantigua. Our managing producers are Fatima El Swifi and Paulina Velasco. Shanice Tyndall is our lead producer. Associate producer is Mona Hassan. Jordan Thompson is our marketing coordinator. This episode was mixed by Trin Lightburn. Michelle Baker is our video editor. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, and we hope you did, please make sure to subscribe, leave a rating, and review wherever you listen to your podcast to ensure you hear the next one.